Stephanie. She's out of town.
I can't hear you. What'd you say?
So my name's Clayton Kendrick. I'm here on behalf of Stephanie while she's out of town.
All right.
All right then, come up in here, you get jumped on if you don't say who you are.
Yeah.
All right, when you see your invocating?
I'm invocating.
Yes.
Okay, yes, I will be invocating.
Okay. Wanda, you see your lead? Okay, just making sure everybody.
Email being this long.
Yeah, that's it. We need to, Mr. Chairman,
Make sure
Yeah.
Clay didn't sneak something in on me.
we need to start making this agenda so that the meeting can happen in less than 2 hours. You know, like regular people.
Okie dokie.
Yeah, when we get to this two-page agenda, I mean, how does that happen?
We went to
We're gonna start holding
more
an account
frequent
for this.
meetings and then when we went to more frequent meetings, we went to longer.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
We did something wrong.
I mean, this is a lot for people who are having a meeting every month. I'm looking at Joseph, too.
Okie dokie. I understand that guidance. We'll see if we can work with that guidance too.
All right, then I'm gonna pray for y'all while I'm praying.
Okay. Pray for shorter meetings.
Yeah, I ain't none of that, brother. Be brief, be brief.
Be gone. Okay, 1 minute.
We're up.
Here we go. Good morning and welcome to the Spalding County Water and Sewage Facilities Authority. It is July 20, 2022 at about 8:30 a.m. I would request at this time that everybody put their electronic devices on silence so as not to interrupt the other people. I would like to ask a member, Gwen Flowers Taylor, to deliver the invocation, followed by Ms. Wanda Hall to lead us in the pledge to the flag.
If you'll join me, please. Father in heaven, we come to you today in thanksgiving and gratitude for allowing us to be here for another day. We ask you to be in this room today. We ask you to touch the hearts and the minds of each person here. Help me, Lord, to disseminate the principle instead of the personalities, because I got an issue with that, but I'm just praying for myself. But Lord, we ask you to guide us, help us make the best decisions, not only for the water authority, but for the county and the residents that we represent. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to thank the ladies for doing that. And while we're thanking ladies, I'd also like to remind everybody that today is Miss Gwen's birthday.
Didn't I tell you to stop put my business out?
Happy birthday.
I was going to have us all sing, but
Thank you, people.
Item number 4, motion to adopt the agenda. I'm requesting at this time for a motion to amend the agenda to move item.
Chairman, I so move that we move the committee reports in item number 12 up to the new item 7 right after the minutes.
Move
Right.
12 up to which one?
Right after the minutes be the new number 7. Financial report be 8 and move down.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Yes, what's the purpose of moving this in on the,
Well, that's the standard meeting where the committees report early on and then go on to your other business. This particular software doesn't do that, but I understand, Charlie, we have new software that'll do that, but you always see the committee reports right at the top. Because you're gonna discuss, typically, what the committees have done, you're gonna discuss in your new business and old business and things.
We're gonna vote on them, and the way it turns out right now, we're voting before we get the report. And because of the way that the software does it for us. So we've moved it forward to be able to put it, and soon we will have new software where we can put the reports where we want to. We don't have that capability right now.
But when the committee report is submitted and made and discussed, then the vote happens after that.
Later on, we will get down to voting on issues that they have brought up. The report is just a report.
Okay,
It's not to be.
I got you.
Okay. All right. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Unanimous? Okay, thank you.
Now, Mr. Chairman, I move we accept the agenda, approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Unanimous, thank you. Citizen comments. Speakers must sign up prior to the meeting and provide their names, addresses, and topics they wish to discuss. Speakers may direct your remarks to the authority and not to individual members or to the audience. Personal disagreements with individual members or county employees are not a matter of public concern and personal attacks will not be tolerated. The chairman has the right to limit your comments in the interest of disposing of authority's business in an efficient and respectful manner. Speakers will be allocated 3 minutes to speak on their chosen topics as they relate to matters pertaining to the jurisdiction of this authority. No questions will be asked by any of the members during the citizen comments. Outbursts from the audience will not be tolerated. Common courtesy and civility are expected at all times during the meeting. No speaker will be permitted to speak more than 3 minutes or more than once unless the authority votes to suspend this rule. Mr. Secretary, do we have anybody to speak today?
We do. Ms. Jewel Walker Harps.
Ms.
If you
Harps?
would-
Hey, Jewel.
Morning, ma'am. If you'd come forward and give us your name and address.
Yes. Good morning, Chairman of the Board, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jewel Walker Harps. I live at 103 McEthel Drive, Griffin, Georgia, 30224. And I'm here to speak on item number 2 under the heading number 1, bylaws and committee updates. I was
Excuse me,
here.
Mr. Chairman. Charlie, could you pull that mic closer to Jewel so we can hear her better? Sorry, Jewel. I might
That's
have
okay.
wax.
If you don't mind for a few minutes.
Okay,
Yes, thank you.
thank you.
I'm not feeling the best today, but I rushed to get down here, so I'm a little shaky, so bear with me. I was here at the last discussion, and I was my feelings were hurt, I was embarrassed, I was disappointed, and what have you, as it related to this particular item. So I thought perhaps I needed to come back today to look around and see if I missed something. I had to miss something for a distinguished board such as this to think that it had the capability, it had the empowerment to decide without my commissioner's input on who sits on this board. That is such a disturbing situation for me. What I don't understand really. Why would you think that you can decide or should decide who has the right or who should have the opportunity to sit? I don't want to be on the board. I probably will never want to, but I do want the opportunity. I want to know that I have a right to sit where you're sitting, and you're taking that away from me. And not only away from me, but most of the people who live in my district would be excluded because you would select people of your choice, and your choice would certainly not be me. So I need to understand, I need you to help me to understand, to give me some rationale as to why this is significant. Why are we trying to exclude certain people? Why are we trying to, what is it about some of us that we want to elevate ourselves and lessen the importance of others? I have a goddaughter who graduated from Georgia Tech this spring, and I am so proud. And she graduated in the top of her class with a neuroscience degree. And I would hate to think that she would make a bad choice and decide to come to Griffin to live and not have an opportunity to serve on this board. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you, Jewel.
All right. Item number 6, minutes. Ms. Jewell, if you'll stay around and listen to this, I think you'll understand what we're talking about as we go through that part of it.
Okay, I'm glad you, thank you.
Item number 6,
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the minutes of the June 15th regular meeting as presented, unless someone has a correction or.
okay, I have a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a second. Any more discussion on those? All right, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Unanimous, thank you.
Number 2, I move we accept the minutes of the planning and the joint committee meeting on the RFQ.
All right, I have a motion to accept the minutes. Do I have a second?
There are 2 sets of minutes in there, in that number 2.
Yeah.
The planning and finance committee joint meeting, and then the RFQ minute. Okay, it sounded like you were saying it was all one. Okay,
Sorry.
my bad.
All right, we're.
I second it.
All right, any more discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Thank you, unanimous. Okay, item, let me get to the right place.
7.
Item number, what is on the
7.
agenda as 12. Special committee reports. I want to make sure everybody understands, just like Ms. Gwynn asked about, the special committee reports are just simply reports. This is not the discussion time, this is the time to get the reports on the record on what happened. We're gonna get into, later on, the discussion of points, trying to vote on things in a different part of the meeting. All right, so, the first one is, number 1, bylaws committee update. The following item was tabled at the June 15th, 2020 meeting until all members were present to vote.
Was that our regular meeting?
No, that's Cheryl.
So it shouldn't be in the bylaws committee update minutes? Because. It should actually be old business, shouldn't it? Right,
Well, it's old business and it's in the update thing right now.
okay.
It's in 2 places for some reason.
All right? All right, everybody should have seen the issues that the bylaws group met, and the 3 of them, and we're gonna come back and we will talk about and vote on those later. Right now, all we're doing is getting them on the record. All right, next, RFQ selection panel.
Mr. Chairman, I will kick that one off. I thought this meeting was one of the most important meetings we've had, certainly in the planning area. This is the future of sewer in Spalding County. We had a really well-attended, well-discussed meeting. We had the 5 members from our board, myself, Fanny, Cheryl, Jeff, and Gwen. We also had General Manager, Acting Chairman, Joseph, and we had 3 other knowledgeable gentlemen, Brant and Brandon and David Lucky, who also had reviewed the material and gave us their opinion. So we had 4 excellent proposals. I believe the consensus of the group was any of the 4 could have done a good job. And our task was to sort out the best, which turned into a very robust discussion. Everybody did the homework. They graded each proposal, and Joseph ranked them. And it was interesting, when he added up the ranks total, it was 86 to 94 numbers between all 4. So that shows you what a close group it was. And so we went through that, and the good news was that Brandon and Brand had both worked with some of these companies. Joseph had worked with at least one of them, and Joseph made some phone calls, some reference calls. And so we had a really robust, great discussion. And at the end, the two that barely ranked the highest, Gresham and Turnip Seed, had won the ranking by a point or two, were the two that were selected, and it was a unanimous decision to invite them in and get their proposals in person and then pick one of those two. But we're looking for guidance here. I think we've all struggled with how do you do sewer in this county, and the proposals all gave us some idea of how they're doing this. They've done feasibility studies and master plans, 3 of them had, which took them sort of to the top. So we want to hear how they're going to look at the whole county, the different areas, give us ideas on the feasibility, priorities, market analysis, whether it's financially viable, how to finance them, and possible partnerships, funding, all sorts of things to give us a roadmap and get this started. So I thought it was an excellent meeting, and we pretty much all agreed. I think we all agreed. So if anybody else wants to say anything, they're welcome.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to accept the panel, the minutes, the special committee report.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Unanimous, thank you.
By the way, I should say that we're going to interview those final 2, July 25th at 1 o'clock, and expect the members of the board to be here. But we'd also invite anybody that wants to come to listen to this, because it's the future of our county, in my opinion.
Cool.
Mr. Chairman, may I make a comment? I'm a little bit concerned about that, because I think having the people we're trying to get to do this RFQ to come here is something that every board member should be exposed to. I think this is too big for the committee to only hear this, and so it would be better for me if we planned a date for them to come when we're having our regular meeting. So everybody will have a chance to have the opportunity to ask. There's just some stuff I don't know what to ask, but I know that Brad and Dick and Wade and other people may have, but I just don't feel like that kind of decision should come from a committee to us, and then we're expected to vote on it without having very serious from the ground input. So, I mean, I'm not saying that the committee shouldn't have the meeting, but I think that it's important for this entire board to hear the dissertation that these people are gonna offer us.
Well, Mr. Chairman, that's why I invited everybody. A meeting set, they've already agreed to come. We have things in the works, and Joseph has the time booked. So I agree. I think the other board members, if they want to come, they should come, because they could hear this.
We have 2 choices, or 3 choices, I guess, really and truly. One, we could turn around and say we'll have a special meeting on that day.
Okay, so.
2, we can turn around and say to Joseph, please call those people back and see if they can redo another way so that they come. 3, we can just say, unfortunately, we're not gonna change anything we're doing. What does everybody think?
I'll go first. First of all, me hearing today that there's a meeting, my schedule isn't where I can just change stuff in 5 days. Okay, that's the first thing. I don't know how everybody else's schedule is, but this is not an issue. They're coming to us to do service for us. So we're not locked into their schedule. They either wanna come or they don't. They just need to be able to come when we're all available, I feel like, instead of us operating around when they're available. That was my comment.
Okay. This is one of those things I'm looking for most people to provide. Wait.
Well, I agree with what Glenn just said. We're the one who's writing the check, so it's our schedule.
Okay. Jim?
I think we need to have a special call meeting.
Okay, now, General Manager, is there a timing issue for contracting with this that has to be done within a certain time?
No, this date and time was agreed upon at the evaluation committee meeting. So we dictated the times to them.
Okay, yep.
And everybody discussed at that meeting, he set that time, so it was
So-
all done right then.
But you're not this board. We're not talking about the committee meeting. We're talking about this board in its entirety.
All right,
Well, I wish this had come up at that meeting after, when we discussed having it come
it's a
back
good
that
point.
day.
It's a good point that she makes for us. Do you see that this would be a huge issue to turn around and tell them to come to our next meeting instead of the 25th?
I don't believe they'll have a problem with it because it'll just give them more time to
time.
prepare.
Well, I'm gonna throw in one more thing.
Please.
This is not the work being done, this is just to pick one of the two. Who's gonna do the work will come back, so it's,
This is our
it's
work.
not.
That's
just
what we're
picking
supposed
one
to
or
do.
two
this is our
consultants to get started. But if we don't get this going, we gotta get this plan into the comp plan, and if you wait till our next meeting, we lose weeks more. We need to get these guys to working so we can get this moving and get, before the comp plan gets too far down the road. So we'd lose 3 weeks if we wait till our next meetings. And like I say, this is just to pick one of the two, it's not the work itself.
Well, that makes the assumption that we're even gonna agree to go forward with this.
And the comp plan is the county's comp plan. And in the past, and I'm not saying that it was right, in the past, the county has kind of been going in saying this is what the water authority is gonna do. But I think until the water authority has a comp plan, and I don't know that the comp plan, we know that we do water, but we don't, we're having a feasibility study for sewer. So I don't think rushing that to put in the comp plan is gonna make the comp plan any more successful. We can always, as an authority, submit an amendment to the comp plan for our portion, am I correct?
That's correct.
So I don't think that one thing is connected to the other. I think that, I'm like, wait, if going forward, we make a decision that we do wanna do sewer, or if the feasibility study comes back and it's way more than we want to do, then we've held the comp plan up because, it's not our fault that we just found out that we need to put some stuff in the comp plan, but we can always add to the comp plan once it's submitted. So, or even if it's approved, it's not sealed in cement.
Yeah. I want to make sure, just one second, Fay. I want to make sure diversity of thought's really important to me, so everybody understands. It's okay to not all agree at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm concerned about groupthink and things like that if you're into that kind of stuff. So, having two different opinions on it is absolutely okay with me. That's why we end up voting. That's why we end up talking through things. All right, excuse me. Ms. Fanny?
I was gonna say, I would like to agree with Jim. Why can't we just call a special call meeting that's gonna be feasible for all community members? Maybe we can decide on a special day today for a special call meeting.
So you're talking about past the 25th. Just pick a day, we
Yes.
pick the date and then tell
That's
the
gonna be
general
it.
manager and he coordinates that.
Just want to ask a question. I can't remember from where these companies come. Are they having to make flight plans or?
Okay, good, great thought.
Well, my preference would be then, if we make a special call meeting on that date, see if we can move with what we got scheduled. Is this a big problem?
Okay, now, let me make sure it's the 25th, which is Monday
Beginning at 1 o'clock.
at 1 o'clock.
And 5 of the 9 members on the board are on the committee, so the other 4, like,
So, Mr. Chairman, this is a concern that I have, and I think I shared this with Joseph. When he gave us the list of stuff that we were supposed to consider, it was basically, what they presented to us was the list of what it was we said we wanted. Everybody kind of did the same thing. Some people might have some elements in a different spot. But in all honesty, to me, that's the thing that I would have expected Joseph to have brought to us, saying, these are the people, they hit all these checks. And then from that point, the general checklist, we needed expertise to dig into what it is that they're really trying to offer us. And so, if we have a conversation as an entire group, then we need the advantage of having known what your recommendation is based on what you showed us in that other meeting. Everybody else needs to have that. And then we need people like Brad and Wade and Dick or Brad, whoever has water experience, to help us to know what kind of stuff we should be looking for. I mean, that's the whole purpose of having these different levels of expertise, is that even those 4 people who are not on that committee will have an opportunity to be brought up to speed quicker than what we did when we went down the sheet. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because that sheet was basically the same.
I will make this comment that still from those conversations we had, Joseph has prepared a list of questions. I sent it out, the questions he thinks needs to be answered at this next meeting. So he's prepared the agenda, if you will, and how to get these questions answered that he thinks they need to answer.
So my second question to Joseph is, if you have prepared these questions, did you rely on the expertise of the people on our board who have water experience, as well as Brant and, what's the other guy's name from the city? Is it Brandon?
Brandon.
Brandon Lewis.
Right. Did you run that through to those people who have this water and sewer expertise to see if those questions were comprehensive?
I did, and the questions that, I worked with Brant and the city of Griffin, we generated a list of questions. I sent it out to the evaluation committee members, and I got no input from the committee, so it is the, between us and the city of Griffin, so it is within the experts, quasi-experts that you're talking about.
I did.
So I don't remember getting that. I didn't get that. Maybe the rest of y'all did. I didn't get those questions. So I really don't know what it is you're talking about. And I got nothing against Brant, but I think that part of the reason, and we'll get to that somewhere else in the meeting, as we're talking about who should be qualified to be on this board, when we have talent on the board, I feel like you as the department head should make an effort to reach out to those people who have this. If you were talking about nursing, I would expect you to reach out to me. But if you're talking about water, this man is in water every day, Brad's in water every day, who else is in water every day? Jeff, yeah, not you, Jim, you in money.
I wish.
But that's kind of what the relationship is. You're right, we should answer the emails, but I didn't get an email that I recognized was that thing. I'm just trying to make sure that this process is not management heavy, top heavy. That we all need to have an integral relationship with how we move forward on this.
I think this boils down to whether we're going to have a committee system or not. Believe in the committees and let committees do the work and bring it back to the board, which is what this committee was going to do. Pick a recommendation was going to be, bring it back to the board to see if they want to vote on moving forward. The board has the option. The committee is just select one. We do know that Wade was suggested that he not participate because he couldn't possibly have a conflict. So the 5 members of the committee made the recommendation. If you want the whole board to meet, that's the board's call, but it's kind of, why have a committee system if y'all want to meet every time? So it boils down. I'm not willing to argue and discuss this anymore. It's up to the board. They want to let the committee move on, or we back up and delay and go to the board. That's just a simple vote to make. I think we're going to beat this to death. It's not my interest to beat it to death.
Vice Chair, just 1 second, Vice Chair.
I'm a firm believer in the most expensive mistake we're gonna make is cheap engineering. And this is gonna lead to a $50 to $100 million decision. And if somebody wants to pump the brakes on it for a second, for a few weeks, I have 0 problems with that.
Okay. Ms. Gwynn?
How many members is on our board?
9.
9. Okay, so you can tell me, lawyer, I have a problem with over half of this board being on a committee. I don't think that happens anywhere in business because you are basically having a meeting. We need to look at our committee structure. The committee should never be a quorum of all the board members. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm pretty sure that that's illegal.
You can even have a committee of the whole if you so choose.
All right, now, Ms. Gwynn, what would you like for the motion to be?
I would like for our motion to be for us to schedule a meeting time, to meet with the two people that staff has recommended, and for, in the meantime, for us all to be provided again, with the questions that Brant and, Joseph have created, and hopefully, Wade, are you still in a spot where you can't make any commentary?
Actually, no, I'm not now.
Okay, and that we're all kind of have some information coming in on the front side. I would like to know what your expectation is, so if you can kind of give us a little summary of, this is what I think, then we can kind of go down through that at
All
at
right,
the meeting.
now, is your motion including meeting on the 25th or not meeting on the 25th?
My motion does not include meeting on the 25th, because the 25th is just 5 days away.
Okay. All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion on this one? This is on the mission.
If this passes, fine. If it doesn't, I'm gonna move that we, committee move forward with everything that's already scheduled. So, see how this goes.
All right, Jim, you had a,
Yeah, the only thing I would say is, I think if we as a board are gonna sign a contract, we as a board need to hear the presentation.
okay.
That,
All right, so, basically the motion says, move it out beyond the 25th. That's what it basically says. That's what we're gonna vote on, all right?
For the entire board to meet.
I thought
Yes.
you wanted the next regular meeting.
Yeah, I did say the next regular meeting, so that they could bring, it could be a presentation to us.
All right? Everybody understand what that is? That says the 25th, we're not gonna do the 25th. We're gonna tell the contractors to come in at our regular next meeting to be able to do it, which is, so everybody, I wanna be
August
transparent.
17th.
Everybody understands, it's all moving out. We're pushing stuff further out.
We need to separate them.
I wanted to point out too, that
We
we're
need to,
talking about 2 hours worth.
All right, in our regular long meeting. Yeah.
we need to separate their coming in time and their going out time, because you don't want one of them sitting out there while the other one's doing his presentation, because they're gonna be sitting after
This
picking
is
their
gonna
apart.
give us a
So,
horrendous, long, complicated meeting.
so,
that's
Mr.
why I said a special call meeting.
That's what I
We can
would
do a special call meeting, or we cannot have everything in the world on our agenda for that month. So, I mean, I'm looking at you and I'm looking at him,
Okay.
but either
All right.
way, it's fine with me
Or
if you
how
want to call
about,
a special call
how about a
meeting.
special called meeting at another date, 5 August? Okay?
I
This
can
is
live with that.
Look, that's a Friday, to be able to bring them in here just to do that one thing.
Don't you think you ought to
that-
let them have a little bit of diverse dates in there to choose from in case it doesn't fit their schedule?
Hey, they never give it to me.
I don't think.
I mean, so the dates that we can be available will be with either
That's
the
just not
5th
how
or
it
the
works, isn't it?
12th?
Yes. The
I'll pull up my schedule. I don't think the 5th is doable for me, but just a second, I'll tell you.
I have a brief point of order. Does the board think it's necessary to amend the agenda to make this new business, this vote?
That's probably right, because this is,
I can't make the morning of it.
No, because we're actually still in discussion about the finance and planning committee request for this to happen on the 5th, so we're still in the room.
Well,
We're still in a cage.
We're still in committee reports, we're into all this, which I think is just
So, Mr. Chairman,
totally inappropriate, but
my motion is that,
I think the agenda ought to be amended to discuss this. We've made our committee report, we've gotten off in the weeds again.
well, the committee report was just a report.
All right, and it shouldn't be just report, we've reported.
Okay, well, we come to this in the meeting, further down in the meeting. I don't have a problem with discussing it at whatever point.
all right, so you're stopping your
No,
motion.
we have a
Like
motion,
I told
we
you,
have a
we've
motion
done
and a
this
second.
Wrong.
Oh, you
Okay.
gotta rescind the motion.
All right. Everybody understands? I want to make sure, I want to look around the room to make sure everybody understands what the motion is and what this says. All right? If you don't understand, now's the time.
I will rescind my motion because there has only been a report that the committee has scheduled. At some point, I believe we were supposed to discuss this down the road, discuss the committee report.
Well, I guess we didn't expect, when we all met that day, that this would come up. We set this process and moved forward like we thought we were instructed to do. And, so if we're gonna discuss this and change things, it has to be, the agenda has to be amended and do this. If we're gonna add a whole new layer.
I would like to change my motion to have this to go back to the committee, and the committee get with
General manager.
general manager, I wanna keep calling him Joseph, get with him and send out a what do you call it, survey monkey, to see who can meet on on 2 dates picked. So that's my motion, is that we do not have the meeting on the 25th, we send this back to the committee gets with Joseph, and then let us all know what date we can meet.
Okay, now just a minute here. If you're the only one who can't meet on the 25th,
Yeah, I mean, if everybody else wants to meet on the 25th, that's fine, but I just think that
you
it's.
can't meet either.
Not this short notice, no.
I
Okay,
mean,
okay.
People have a schedule that they
Yep,
have to do, and
I-
5 days' notice is not enough
Okay.
time. Everybody ain't retired like you.
Well,
All right,
all we're gonna do is pick one of the two. There's no contract, no nothing. They come back for the negotiation and a fee, all that. We're just simply picking one of the two to come back and give us a proposal. So it's not earth-shattering.
That's an important step.
Or you got a
Yeah,
motion
it
on the
is
table,
earth
and
shattering. If
you
we're,
need a second
if
for
we're going
discussion.
down the road
Yeah.
towards spending money,
We-
where am I?
You
We have
have a
two.
motion on the table, you need a second before
All
we
right.
go into discussion.
It's still out of order.
Okay,
Our committee report's concluded.
There's no
all right,
second.
you made a motion.
I made a motion.
Do I have a second on that motion?
No second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Do we need to hear the motion again?
Yeah.
Okay, my motion was to cancel the engagement with the
On the 25th.
feasibility study people, and to have the, Joseph and the committee, if necessary, send us some dates, 2 dates, that we can all see if everybody's gonna have enough, be able to open their schedule up.
Okay. All right, does everybody understand? All right, all those in favor of that motion, please raise your hand. All opposed, like sign? Two opposed. You got, I'm making sure everybody's got that, okay. All right, so motion carries. Joseph, you're gonna have to get a doodle poll out. Charlie? We're gonna have to get a doodle poll out, pick a date, then you're gonna have to contact the contractors and tell them 25th is not gonna happen, here's the date we're gonna bring them back in on. And please,
You have to contact them and tell them 25th is out before you contact them with the date.
Well, maybe the 25th is the date. I don't know. This
okay,
is just
all right.
crazy.
You, General Manager, you understand all this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. And let me make a side comment, kind of going along with what the Vice Chair said. This is really, really a big decision we're moving. This is 4 years getting to this point where we're getting ready to get into it, finally. And another couple of weeks not make any difference to me. But once we make a decision, it is a big, big decision
It's
that,
another decade.
yep, it's a decade-long decision. All right, so everybody, all right, now, let me see where we are. We're at the,
General managers, work superintendent report.
I think we're at number 7, financial report. We all agree, that's where I'm starting now.
The old number 7.
The old number 7, correct. Consider approval of the financial report as presented by the General Manager Johnson.
So what you're looking at is the July 2022 report, which is looking back at June 30th, the fiscal year 22 closeout. We ended the year with a total of 15,187 customers, a total volume sold of 805 million gallons, and a total revenue, just water revenue on sales of $9,073,000. So what that means is our year over year, we increased 0.64% in consumption, and our revenues were up by 2%. And just know that our days in operations held in reserve is still at 190 days. But we are currently still closing out the year, and the year will not be closed out until the end of this month. So that number could change, but I still think we're gonna end up at 190 days. So our expenses are tracking like they should.
Is that fund balance will take us into 190 days? Is
That-
that's what you're talking about?
That is just in our money market reserve account. So our total, we have roughly $15 million in both accounts, our operating and reserve account. So we're only looking at the money market account.
Yes, that-
Okay.
Yes, that's fund balance.
Huh?
Yes, that's fund balance.
Okay, so so gold, I'm trying to look for what do you call that, a map, a guide? Gold on this fiscal year revenues, FY '22, is representing what?
That is just the breakdown of your water revenues sales versus water revenues on base rate. So you're looking at the donut chart?
Yes.
Yeah, the one that's so colorful.
Yes. So your total revenues in the middle is everything. It's water sales, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then take a step and you see the green and blue.
Mm-hmm.
All right, green is it's the cost of water, so it's what we pay to the city of Griffin to facilitate our operation and maintenance. Then the blue is what's coming to us out of the net, right? Then in that blue, that's when you go out to the third tier where you have the gold and blue. The gold is our revenues, the blue is base rate. So when we bill customers every month, there's a base rate of $13.71 per meter. So that's the breakdown of our revenues.
Okay.
So we have two streams. We have sales and we have base rate.
Okay, all right, thank you for explaining that.
Yes, ma'am. But the number that you're looking for is down at the bottom under the two charts. You see that green 190 days?
Mm-hmm,
That's what we're looking at on the reserves.
okay.
But if you put all the fund balance in there, we have close to 600 days in operation.
Have we ever decided what we want in terms of operation? And I'm asking you this because if we only, great, if you had 5 years worth, fine. But if we only really need 90 days worth, or we only need 120 days worth, does that mean that those other funds can be going to other projects? Because I don't think as a board, we've actually sat down and said, or had our financial person to say to us, what we recommend is that you keep 120 days, or you keep 95 days of operating expenses, which that would leave a good bit of change to go into other areas where we can invest or whatever else. I'm just asking, I've never heard of us having, I know on the county board, we talk about we wanna have at least 90 days, but since we are kinda good and over, what's your recommendations and thoughts on that?
Well, I'd have to go back and look. In previous meetings, we discussed metric. I spoke with Jenna. Jenna said that from a gap and a funding standpoint, 180 days is a good metric to have for if we ever need to do bonds.
Okay.
But there has been I don't have any clear direction on what number it should be.
Is a drop dead number,
Absolutely.
so that money can go
Yes.
somewhere.
We just already had right at $5.1 million in the reserve account.
Uh-huh.
So now, I just took that amount of money, since we designated that reserve account, that money market account, to be quasi-reserve, and just said, hey, based on this amount, I'm watching the expenditures on a monthly basis, and then doing a forward projection to figure out, okay, do we anticipate our expenditures going up? If so, is it just a one-off shoot or anomaly where we had a hiccup that we didn't prepare for? But there's been no indication that we're tracking any different than we should.
So I've reached out this week to my counterparts across the state, the county managers, and asked them two questions. One was fund balance for general fund for the county and fund balance for any of their utilities. What I'm getting is a litany of information. The average for the utility is running anywhere from 6 months to 9.5 months worth of fund balance because of the potential emergency requirements should you have a catastrophic event.
Okay.
We are right at the bottom of what the utility is at 190, and our recommendation would be to at least stay there and potentially increase slowly over time to get us to a point where we are at 9 months should we have a catastrophic event. One of the catastrophic events that was discussed in the listserv was a tornado that came through and ripped out a water tank. And that was a significant hit against the budget. So I think Joseph has us in a really good position at 190. I think the board's done a great job at keeping us there. And our recommendation is stay there or move up just a little.
So actually, the recommendation would be around 9 months worth. So that's kind of a goal we need to work toward.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that what you, can I ask one more question? Is that what y'all do too?
Our goal is 270. I'd have to look and see where.
270 days?
Which is 9 months.
Okay, all right.
Now-
Thanks for explaining that.
Now, let me make sure everybody understands. This is all brand-new territory for us. This is the first time we've been able to look at this kind of stuff and find out what we're talking about. So, yes, we're having questions, but this is because we're stepping into and why we hired a general manager to be able to get us where we're going. We haven't had this kind of examination before. So, new questions, yes, we're gonna have those. We'll work through those and look at them in the future, but this is the best we have ever seen to be able to get where we are. So, thank you, Joseph, although you do this great work and then we turn around and beat you up about the number, but we appreciate you
you.
moving forward. So, all right,
But remember, this 190 days is only our operating money market account. We have a fund balance beyond that, which would take us way, way on out.
Correct, yeah, our,
Depends which number you're looking at.
yeah, our
Yes.
operating count, and I don't have the breakdown, but last time I checked, it was, over $8 million just in our operating account alone.
so we're in good, this
Yes.
is the kind of discussion we've gotta have. We'll talk, he'll think, come back and tell us, hey, I think the number should really be 270 or whatever,
And-
and I'm at 190, we're moving towards 270 or whatever we're trying to do. So, I'm good with all of this. This is, stepping forward into it. A year from now, we'll know exactly what we're doing, where we are, so.
Okay.
And for the next meeting, I'll tell you what that 270 metric number looks like, and just tell you how far we're off.
How far are we on?
There you go.
Okay,
We don't quite have the infrastructure covered like, say, the city does either, so,
Okay.
9 months may be on the long side.
Okay.
all right, do I have any more yes, Jim?
Just a question for you and probably our secretary. When will we see actual financials from Jenna? I mean, I know Joseph has been doing a quote-unquote financial report, but, I mean, the financials from the accounting side,
Mr. Skinner, we will make sure that we include that on our next agenda and have her available for discussion.
I mean, if we're
That's a
gonna do
great point.
quarterly or.
Absolutely.
That would be good,
Yeah.
quarterly, maybe, yeah.
All right?
Just-
Okay, good point. Bring
Yeah.
her in quarterly. Joseph will do it the other parts of the other part of the
Yeah.
quarter, and then Jenna will come in and we'll be able to talk in a different method. Okay? We agree with that? All right, that'll become a new internal procedure. All right, any more discussion for,
And just to make sure that, that will be, she'll be given both unaudited and audited when I guess the audited financials come out.
yeah. All right,
I cut him off in the middle of his report, didn't I? Was you finished?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
all right, do I have a motion?
Motion to accept the report, financial report is presented by the general manager.
Okay, we'll have discussion, Ms. Fanny.
No, sir, I just have one little quirk that I always have when we have financial reports. I like for the motion to say, or we move to accept the financial report to be filed for records.
Right, because it's really not a vote. I'll rescind my motion. I would like to make a motion to accept the financial report as presented by the general manager.
And somebody seconded? Okay. We rescinded and then did the second. All right. Any more discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Unanimous, thank you. All right. I'm at item number 8, Water Superintendent Report.
So, the new developments are still the same as last month. We do have some new developments on the horizon, and they're listed right there. But moving into the water meter installs. So what we're starting to do is we're starting to break down our meter sales, and kind of de-aggregate them and show a total picture. So now what you're looking at is, in the top left corner, these are total meter sets versus water taps, and what that is a meter set is literally, all we do is just go put a meter in a box that's already there. Yes.
Charlie.
For us older folks, Charlie.
Oh, yeah, it's so big, so little.
Thank you.
And what we can, maybe we'll put this, can we print out 11 by 17? Yeah, okay.
Not now.
And then water taps, where a home builder or a homeowner comes in and requests a new water service, where we physically dig down on the water line and install it from the main to the meter box. So to date, we've installed 148 meters, water taps and meter bases themselves. The new meter installs by themselves are 146. We've relocated one and we've changed out one. And then we are waiting for builders or homeowners to tell us they're ready for the meter sets and water taps to be put in of 23. So they've already been paid for, but we're waiting to get confirmation that they're ready for us to go set them. But then you look down, and so we're still breaking out, we're still tracking more 1-inch water meters than we've ever tracked. But year to date, we're right at 50% meter purchases. So we're still tracking like we have last year.
May I ask a question? You said like 1 inch? What did you say?
Yeah,
Something
1-inch water meter. So the reason why you would want a 1-inch water meter is if you're going to use more than 20 gallons a minute, sustained, because the max flow on a 3/4 inch meter is 20 gallons a minute, so you'll end up blowing the meter up.
So do we have like a rule that says you need to use at least a 1 inch?
Currently, no. We're working to get that, but the only thing that we have to be careful of is if we start dictating meter size to people, and then something ends up happening where they don't have the adequate flow that they need, or a pressure drop is too great, we could be held liable. So what I'm gonna do is build a tool that a homeowner or a builder could use to kind of guide that process, but let them come back to us and recommend what size they want. All we're doing is just asking the right questions. So when someone comes in and says, I met with a customer a couple of weeks ago, and they said, we want a 1-inch meter. I asked them, how big is your house? And what do you anticipate, how many bedrooms, how many baths, are you gonna be irrigating off of it and all this? And it was just a traditional 2,500 square foot home with 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bath. It didn't justify a 1-inch meter. But they always, people tend to think bigger's better, bigger's not better when it comes to water, because if you're too low flow, it's not gonna register correctly. If you're too high, it won't register correctly. So we want a meter that is sized correctly.
So will that happen at our place, or is that something a contractor decides?
So the contractor or builder recommends or puts forth a plan and tells us what they want. It's our duty to ask the right questions and make sure that we understand what they're trying to do, and then we steer them in the right direction.
Okay.
All right. Any more questions on that before? All right. Do I have a motion to approve the water superintendent's report?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to accept the water superintendent's report as presented by the general manager.
All right. I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion on the water superintendent's report?
I have a question. When are we gonna get a water superintendent? I mean, I know that you're it right now, but you were supposed to be hiring 2 more people. Are we anywhere closer?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
We've put someone up for hire in HR's office.
Okay, great.
Yes, ma'am.
Cool. All right, any more discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Unanimously, thank you.
Before we move on, may I have a comment? Joseph and I have talked about what's coming. There's a phenomenal number of houses, lots being developed in this county. You mentioned the 1,000-year district. You talked to people who are putting in stuff or plotting stuff out on Bicycle Road. I don't know, maybe, was there a couple thousand potential lots coming?
About 2,500, I tracked it up.
2,500? I don't know if folks understand what's about to hit us.
Where?
It's phenomenal.
How about you?
Yeah, so everybody understand, the number I'm using, Brent probably better at it than I am, but the number I'm using is up 155 and on Teeman. In the next 2 years, we'll have 3,000 new homes.
Wow.
You gonna build another road?
No, 155 is just gonna be
Parking lot that it already is?
further down into Spalding County.
So you imported McDonough?
So.
We're
our
economic
business-
development.
Our business and work is gonna jump remarkably in the next few months. It's already there, so I just want people to understand what's about to hit Joseph and his crew.
This is a huge economic development issue for water.
Okay.
And the sewer is all being done by Minerva, the community service, the private
Okay.
sewer out there. That's how it's all been done. They're taking theirs, they're running, I'm making sure I say this all right, they're running the pipes to those to people to be able to do sewer. So for us, this is huge water
customers.
up and economic development, new taxpayers coming in, all of that stuff. This is a huge thing. And give everybody just a kind of a quick reminder. In 2017, when we did the last comp plan, we said we want every residential to move all up in the northeast quadrant, up near Sun City. This is where we wanted to move. 5 years later, we're just about getting there to do that. So when we talk about the current comp plan and getting it approved, and it says we're gonna do some certain things, we're talking 5 or 6 years from now. We're not talking about next year in 2024. As a side to that, 155, we talked about, they briefed us Monday night on when 155 is gonna go straight on down, which is the way we want it to go to get it out of the city. And it is 2032, something like that. So we're not talking about anything happening with GDOT that is anytime soon. But if we don't do the shovel and spade work right now, we can't get ready to do it later on. And those of us have people who live on North McDonough, my phone is ringing, believe me, to talk about 155 going straight ahead instead of, coming straight south, instead of going around through the city. We want it to go straight south and get it around there, but not in my backyard is.
No, we don't.
Yeah, okay. All right, excuse me. All right, are we voted, right?
We did.
Okay. And thank you, Dick, for saying that. All right, I say we're now at number 9.
I move we lift from the table, consider approval of the following amendments as presented.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second? Okey-dokey.
Nobody wants to discuss it?
All right. Okay, so we are not lifting from the table those items. All right, moving on. New business. We have no new business. Item number 10, no new business. Item 11, other business. Update from the general manager on the following. Intergovernmental agreement update, and the city and our authority, a biannual meeting to be held on July 27th at 2 p.m. All right.
Just a quick update on the intergovernmental agreement. We put in pump number 2 at Dundee Mills Lift Station last week. I'm trying to get confirmation from the city that it's operating as expected. And then when that's done, the only thing that we are still waiting on is to transfer all the deeds over to the city of Griffin for the Highland Mills force main and the outfall. and then the intergovernmental agreement will be complete.
Excuse me for interrupting at this time. Ms. Jewell, did you understand that we're not going to talk about that issue at all?
Yes, sir, I
Okay, I just wanted, in case you wanted to leave.
I actually gonna make a comment in the comments section.
Okay, all right, we'll make a comment in the comments. All right, continuing on.
So I'm going to continue working with Stephanie, and we'll get these deeds wrapped up and get them redeeded over into the city of Griffin's name, and then we can get a letter from the city saying that we've facilitated every requirement of the IGA to get that relinquished off our books.
May I ask a question, Mr. Chairman? Joseph, so in the IGA with the city, can you remind us of how people who aren't hooked up already, what's the process that they will go to get hooked up if they weren't there for the initial?
So, once we turned over the outfall to the city of Griffin, where we started conveying sewer flow to Cabin Creek, that service area was acquired by the city of Griffin. So now, everybody in the Highland Mills Springs area in the drainage basin is the city of Griffin customer. So any new connection will just go apply for service with the city.
Okay, and then because some people didn't have to pay the capacity recovery fee, even though the line is in front of the house, they'll still have to pay the capacity recovery fee if they jump on afterwards?
If it's a new lot, yes, ma'am.
No, what is it, what if it's an existing lot?
No, it's not a lot of record from 1998, so if there, let's say it's 105, 107, and then 103's in the middle, whatever number, is they would have to pay capital cost recovery fee.
Okay,
Okay, so the ones that got hooked on to the CGB grant and everything, they're good. Any other people that develop lots that were not lots of record for the city in 1998 will pay that CCRA.
so will we make sure that when this is complete, that the water service delivery map is updated to reflect that that area has become city service area? Because I think it had been turned over to us one time, wasn't it? Yeah, because we were providing sewer through Dundee. So I think that
So
that should happen in conjunction with that.
correct. Well, the sewer delivery strategy map has been updated to reflect that new drainage basin. The water customers were always the city of Griffin's because of the
Right.
exhibit in 1988 or prior to 2000.
It was part of the deal we cut with Dundee in order to put in, we buy the water lines.
Okay.
So, yes, ma'am, the map has been revised and is currently in the current
Yeah.
SDS book
Okay, great. All right.
being negotiated right now.
That's correct.
That's all I had, Mr. Chairman. Just want to ask about that.
Okay, continuing on to, next one.
So I sent Brant a draft agenda of what we want to discuss next week. He's going to add a couple things, and then I'm going to send it out to the board and let them know these, and the topics of discussion are nothing more than what is required by the contract. So I've put in kind of my thoughts on the future projections, what we currently are at, what we're planning on doing just for typical maintenance that's currently in the budget, and then thoughts in the mid and long-term projections. So I'm gonna wait to get his comments back. I should get them today or tomorrow, but I'll send that out to you as well.
Okay. My expectation is everybody is at this meeting. All 9 members of the board are at this meeting. We only do it twice a year with the city. This is, this board forced this to happen. So this is big time for us to be able to be there. Now, I understand not everybody can make it just because of whatever happens, but I expect most members to be able to be with us, with the city to do this, okay?
27th? Is that the meeting?
The
that's
27th at 2 p.m.
Okay, got it.
All right. Everybody should see that the next meeting is August 17th, not, depending on what we get for the doodle poll or whatever we're going to do for the RFQ. Let me see now if it's, if the secretary treasurer / county manager has comments.
I just have one comment, Mr. Chairman. This week, the county fire department will begin a project called Beat the Heat. So our intent is to open up 4 of our fire stations over the next 4 weeks to meet some needs of our community, really be a good citizen within our community. And what that means is we're asking our fire trucks and our fire stations to basically be a splash pad for an hour and a half on Friday evenings over the next 4 weeks. We have coordinated with the Water Authority to get the metered device to allow us to understand how much water we are using for this event. And next month at our meeting, and I'm not suggesting that we do anything this evening, but next month at our meeting, we will bring the total amount of water that we have expended for all 4 events back to you. Our intent is to ask for forgiveness for the water charge, but we are going to be very transparent with how much water we're using to take care of our community. This is an exciting opportunity for us to take care of our kids and really be a good partner for the fire department and for our neighborhoods.
No.
All right.
You can bring your dog too.
I'm gonna bring my dog too. I'm good with that.
Yeah. This is we see pictures all the time of fire hydrants with water going and kids playing in it. This is more organized than that, to be able to have an opportunity for kids to go and do that, parents to be able to bring them down there. It's local, so that they can get to it without a whole bunch of fanfare of going someplace all over the place. All right, anything else?
That's all I have. Thank you, sir.
All right, we'll start with Ms. Cheryl.
Yes, that's fine. First, I wanted to give an answer to Ms. Walter Hart. You might be surprised at the appointments that might be made. I have 7 grandchildren. 4 are Caucasian and 3 are African American. And my goal is always to see that they are represented on any board. Not just this board, but any board that I can participate in the nomination of candidates. And I have proven that in the past in other boards. Secondly, whether or not we do the amendment makes no difference to me. It was brought before this board because of some conversations and comments that were made in January and February relative to limits of terms and appointments. But if we're not going to amend it, it is my opinion that we should adhere to the amendment under which we're operating. And that involves compensation. So those are my comments.
Let me say, I was gonna bring that up too. I think we need to stop this $20 if it's illegal, and quit doing that and adhere to the bylaws.
On August 17th, that meeting, I'm going to not get into a fight right now. August 17th, we're going to resolve that issue for sure. That issue we're going to resolve. This is pay or not pay. Right now, the current bylaws say no pay.
It says actual compensation.
And that means we would have to turn in routinely how far we drove to be able to get here. And at 56, 58 miles a minute,
62.5 right now.
62.5 would be able to do it. So come back on August 15th prepared to make that decision on what we're going to do. This is a pretty big decision. I'll relay a comment that Dick made to me about it. I was, just so everybody knows, I walked in here saying, 3 weeks ago, saying the answer should be 0. For the most part, I'm on a number of boards that Ms. Gwynn put me onto to be able to be onto, and the amount of money that we get on the boards, whether it's the hospital authority, those kinds of boards, is 0. We get $20 here that was done back in 1975 or something, whenever we got an issue with it, to do that. I was absolutely coming in to say the answer should be 0. Dick talked to me pretty extensively about this is a business that we're running. Compare it to the rest of the authorities who really and truly don't run businesses. They don't really care, they're not deeply involved in selling, they're not involved in that whole business that we are involved in. This is really and truly business, and we need to make sure that people who are, we get the right kinds of people on here, and they should be rewarded, compensated, whatever words you want to say, for doing those kinds of things that businesses do. So, I don't need to get into it, I just want everybody to think through it between now and the 17th. That action, for sure, we're going to get cleaned up, because we're not doing it quite right. All right? All right, anything else from you, ma'am? All right, Ms. Fanny?
Yes, sir. This is one comment about the pay quote compensation, whatever. I think we need to look at the definition of pay versus compensation versus stipend. I think if we were to get into, I really agree with following the bylaws, yes. However, if we want to go to, let's say mileage, putting in mileage, that can be a boondoggle for some people, and for financials too. So I just think that we don't need to get into that kind of quagmire.
Well, and let's say that this is gonna become an if we do it by just mileage, that's an administrative burden that really is gonna get onto Charlie. She'll be getting it from, 6 miles here, 3 miles here, each one of us will be getting it.
I live 113 miles from here.
Let me interject. The $20, the way it was explained to me by William Wilson, is something that the county chose to do to pay its board members. So if the county chooses to give us $20 a meeting, the authority is not doing anything wrong. The authority is not, we're not compensating ourselves. That's how I see it. If the county chooses to give us $20 a meeting to show up,
It's not out of,
No, it's not us, it's not on us at all at the county.
so as far as I see it right now, we're not violating any. That's how I see it.
No, I mean, is anybody getting compensation? I know ain't nobody gave me no money.
Will we get $20?
Mr. Chairman, I think we're making an argument and having a discussion about
Well, and I'm
Something that's
sorry, but
not
I'm
on the
just saying,
agenda.
Section now.
do people actually get money for serving on this board?
$20 a month?
$20 a month?
No,
Well, $20 a meeting.
A meeting.
I've never got any money.
No, somebody's taking over.
I'm suing y'all. Okay, I'm sorry. I've never gotten a penny
Does everybody,
in 20 years, so I want my back pay.
everybody except Gwen gets it? Charlie doesn't like you very much.
And where is that in our agreement that says that? So I'm just gonna have to file a lawsuit because,
I think board of commissioners ought to pay us for being there.
Okay, everybody got the answer there? Thank you.
oh, I'm
Miss-
mad now.
Miss Fanny, I have to admit, I've been getting it since I was on, but I was on before.
I don't care. You're the same as me. If you're getting paid, I should get paid. Now, I don't want to get paid, but I'm just saying.
Huh.
So I want my back pay.
All right, Miss Wanda. Any comments, ma'am?
No.
Okay.
I gotta weigh into this for a minute. This board is not like the other boards. This board is not a taxpayer-funded board. This is a public utility. And people talk about pay for boards. Most of them are advisory boards. They are part of the tax base of the county. This board is a business, a public utility that sells water, collects revenues, does not accept tax money, has nothing to do with tax money. We're a business public utility board, and virtually, as far as I know, it's all the water authorities run it like a business, as it is a public utility, pay their board members something as a business, and have some method to get people on the board that fill spots. For instance, we're about to get in the sewer business. We have no one on the board that has any sewer experience, really, of
not
any
you?
significance. Some of us have some anyway.
Okay.
But if this board has a vacancy and would like to have a retired sewer plant operator or something, they should have some mechanism to get that kind of a person onto this board to bring up the expertise. Now, I don't want to get into all this us versus them on the county, but I just want you to understand, this board is a public utility. It is not a typical board in the county. It's an independent authority, runs a utility. Typically, those boards are compensated and run like businesses not some advisory committee. I'm done.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dick. Mr. Jim?
The only question I have, Joseph, is we get the intergovernmental agreement finished, and when do we start decommissioning that plant? I know that's a chunk of money, and we need to.
So we've been working with Paragon on that plan. It should have been advertised on Friday. I'm waiting for the final documents to be provided to us. I haven't seen them apply for any permits yet, or through plan review. So all indications are that project should be completed by 12/31. And the reason why I'm confident in saying that is we worked with Spalding County Public Works Department and asked them if they would want that property at a later date. TJ brought in people from Atlanta that looked at turning it into a skate park or a BMX area, and they wanted to save 3 of the main structures that were going to cost an immense amount of money.
Really?
So, yes. And what they're anticipating is if they can get a plan together, I know TJ's talking about getting it in front of, on UGA's, like a senior project next year. This could be a world-class facility where people all over the world and country would want to come. So, I think with knocking out or taking 3 of the major components out of the bid, we're gonna save an immense amount of money.
Just as long as EPD is happy.
And I've already spoken to EPD and Benoit and told them our plan, and they said as long as you show us and give us a little write-up on what you're expecting this to be and what it's gonna turn into, put up some fences and they're good. So I'm confident with the plan that we're putting
That's
forward.
great news.
Yeah.
Great news.
It is. I hope the county does something with that old Dundee horrible mess. I hate to see the rest of the world drive through that.
Okay, all right, anything else from you, Mr. Jim? Ms. Quinn?
Yes.
Thank you.
I just want to clear something up. This board may very well be a utility, but don't forget that this board does get money from the Board of Commissioners. The Board of Commissioners awarded $6 million to this board out of SPOS 8 years ago, and we could never get a project together to do it. But in the interim, we spent money from that on studies. So it's inaccurate to say that this money is not tied to county taxpayer money. The second thing is that this entire time that we've been having this discussion about compensation, I'm pissed off. Because if everybody else is getting compensated, then why haven't I been compensated? I don't need the $20, but while you're trying to get the rules together, make sure the rules specify why other people are being discriminated against selectively.
Well, if I remember right, the original decision back was that the commissioner appointee is getting paid as a commissioner and has pay for that and was not compensated, where the other board members got the $20 a meeting because they were not paid commission.
So
Agreeing or disagreeing?
I'm just
that's the
simply
way it works.
saying, if that is the rule from 1996, then I'm very certain that rule was made by the Board of Commissioners, because the Board of Commissioners handled all the day-to-day operations of the Water Authority at that time.
I think so.
So just want to make it clear, when you guys say that we are just a business, we still operate. If something happens and we need money and we want to ask for a SPOS, guess who we get that money from? That's taxpayer dollars. Our relationship with the fire department maintains our water meetings. They're paying for the hydrants. That's county money. So don't, it's not black and white. You know, I like to say that sometimes, but there is a gray area, so you can't say that there are these absolutes. Talking about the old project over at Dundee, you know, when the other buildings got torn down, somebody came and bought all the wood and the bricks and the metal. Will we have an opportunity to do that in terms of the demolition, so that there's some money generated from that to maybe do some rehab or whatever it is that they're gonna do over there? I think it's just it would be a waste if someone thought that those bricks, mortar, mail, wood, and whatever else they built that place with 100 years ago was valuable enough, maybe it has some value in the commodity for us as well. But I know we're not there yet.
So preliminary discussions with Paragon after going through, and so yes, there will be some wire that could be stripped, but when you start putting in where a contractor is going to have to take care and then weigh it and then go to the scrap yard, get a price, and then come back, the contractor could tell you, hey, you know, honestly, at this point, we're not going to salvage anything. We're just going to scrap it all, and we're just taking it to the landfill because of the amount of care that's going to be required in order to get any money from a recycling company. So
Yeah.
take wire itself. If you take, even though it has copper, it has insulation, if you don't de-strip that water or that wire to get the copper by itself, you're going to get, what, pennies on the dollar.
Well, depends on the size of the wire.
Correct,
So,
but
you know,
there's some
bare
pretty
bright's
large
gonna
wire.
be- Bare bright's gonna be $3 or $4 a pound for wire. With insulation, they're gonna knock it down to about $1.50. But copper prices are actually falling right now, and I have to buy a lot of copper.
So
So the issue turns, just check into it, make sure you
Right.
come
There-
back to us and say, hey,
Because I'm saying they were able to, there was a company that did it, but they saved every brick. They had all the metal frame structures, the wood that had been in there forever. They sold every bit of that. I'm not saying that we have to do that, but if there's an option for us to be able to take that money, if we were able to do it, and put it back into ACT project or back into our budget, I think we should do that. One other comment. If we do get to a place where we decide that this board needs to be compensated, I would like to see a chart of what allowable expenses are. Is it just gonna be compensated for travel back and forth to the meeting? Is it gonna be, you can have 5 meetings and you can get travel for every single time? Will meals count if you gotta drive up to Atlanta to, you know, we need to have some specifics if we're going to, start talking about that. But at the end of the day, I feel like it's gonna be another administrative nightmare for Charlie in addition to everything else she does to, if we define what that is, start trying to decipher all of that out. That's all I got.
all right, Vice Chairman?
Other water authority boards compensate their board members. I'm not saying that we need to have compensation, but I think in the future, we need to have the flexibility to allow it if so deemed. I also think the amendment needs to have a cap on it, a dollar amount, so people just can't get on here and give themselves pay raises. The 2-term limit on appointments, there are places in our society I am in favor of term limits. I'm actually in favor of them having less terms than they have right now. But in the issue of something like a water authority board, where you actually need some experience on that board, actually dealing with water and wastewater, it does concern me. So generally, I'm not in favor of the term limits. The amendment, there was 2 proposed amendment requiring the Board of Commissioners to accept the recommendations from the Spalding County, and then there was another version floated about requesting the Board of Commissioners. I think both of those are just a waste of time personally. I think the Board of Commissioners should consider our recommendations, but in order to require them kind of goes against the checks and balances in our government. And at the end of the day, if the authority in the future finds itself in a position where, say, the board's being stocked by a group of commissioners that want to change the direction that it's going in, we, at the end of the day, still hold the power of the purse, and we can still do what we want to do. So there's a check and balance on that also. Those are my comments about that. As far as the demolition and everything at the plant, to your point, yeah, there's probably some equipment out there that could be easily scrapped, but when you get into copper wire and plumbing and stuff like that, you may make a little bit of money on it, but the labor, in order to separate that, is gonna eat you alive.
And that's kind of the discussion that Charles and I have been having, where we're looking at the equipment that's there, and since we're stripping out a lot of the existing infrastructure, there's really not gonna, I mean, it's just concrete walls and cinder block. So there's no reclaimed brick or anything that would have been like Dundee
Oh, I forgot, there's only just that
Yeah,
one big glass
so,
building
I mean, you're
there anymore.
talking,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Oh,
and,
Forget I said it. I
and
thought it was a
honestly,
real
they're
meal
just
still
gonna,
there.
what I'm anticipating is them taking a wrecking ball and just knocking it down.
Okay.
I think there's one building.
What-
I'm
there's-
sorry, I was
There,
still thinking that
we're-
there were some buildings up, it's just that one ugly one
Yes, small little, one floor.
Oh,
that
I'm
needs to be
saying
knocked down,
small.
yeah.
Yeah, we're taking
Okay,
down
I'm
3
sorry.
cinder block buildings.
Just
Just-
let that go.
So
Let
do
that
you
whole
want,
thing
do you
go.
want me to look at,
I agree with
Yeah.
you, that idea.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize.
There is equipment there that is gonna have to be easily plucked and moved, and it, pumps, and I don't know if we may find value in selling them, I doubt it, when I went to the plant. Somebody might need a pump or something, or an aerator, but from what, I think we was down to our last aerator that actually worked,
correct?
if I remember correctly, so I doubt anybody's gonna wanna give us anything for it, but there's some stuff like that you can pluck and scrap and get the scrap value for. But buildings and stuff like that, the labor to separate it's gonna
Yeah,
eat you alive.
I understand totally what you're saying now.
Okay, any other comments from you there?
I'm done, sir.
Okay. 2 issues, one at the beginning, we talked about the agenda. I'll try to do better on trying to get this thing a little bit more moved
Tighten up.
along. We're getting to be long time in the meetings. Second point, if you didn't know, we did groundbreaking yesterday for the aquatic center. It really is exciting times. I made the comment yesterday when we were moving dirt. It's kind of like when we landed on the moon. One small step, but it was one huge step for the Spalding County. This is the 3rd largest building we have ever put together. The jail, the courthouse, and now the aquatic center. So this is big time for us to do something with what's going on.
We're a good water customer.
It will be a great water customer.
Don't come in here asking for forgiveness.
And the county manager punched me and said, we're gonna use the forgiveness line lots. Okay, all right,
I hear nothing.
Charlie, you have any comments that you would like to make? Okay. Any last minute things?
Can I approach the podium? I know I didn't sign in, but there's something.
Step up to the mic and you're fine with us, Brant, anytime.
I was listening to y'all talk, and unfortunately or fortunately, I'm gonna stick up for Dr. Ledbetter. One of the things, seeing as I'm an old fart, been around a while, is when you do a comprehensive plan, that plan drives your future, okay? If you change the plan or you amend it through the county planning and zoning, that's up to the commissioners, okay? That's your call. I'm a little concerned, I don't know if it's cart before the horse or the horse before the cart, but the bottom line is, okay, I've been to several meetings, they're pretty well into that plan. It's a time-sensitive plan, and it has to be done in October. I don't tell y'all how to run your business, obviously, I'm just an outsider and a citizen, okay? I'm just consultant for the city. I'm concerned that this is gonna drag on, and just amending, saying it's a quick amend to amend the comp plan, if it doesn't have the intention in mind of the comp plan, you guys don't see the unintended consequences. Be a staff person in my seat, okay, if I was your planner or I was your community development director or whatever, they gotta tell builders and developers, well, this doesn't yeehaw. Okay, so I would be mindful to y'all that y'all need to think really hard about how you can proceed and get this done in a very orderly fashion that you can agree to for the comp plan. Because, yeah, it sounds good on paper, and I said this to my commissioner, we'll just we can amend the comp plan. It's not a big deal, you got a little bit of effort. But what happens when you draw circles, lines, colors, whatever on your comp plan, and all of a sudden you guys come in and say, well, sorry for your luck, we're gonna put a sewer over there. And guess what? It's all R5, R1, R2. And the only thing I'm saying is on behalf of Steve, and he didn't ask me to say this, okay? He's under a very time constraint. I've heard some of on the Zooms. There's some people got some pretty strong opinions of what they want in their area. And so if it doesn't match and mix and match, y'all gonna have an opportunity to figure out, because I don't like, sorry for this, Dick. Developers are necessary, but sometimes they use everything to the letter of the law, and then you get into a lawsuit. So you want the best document on your behalf and the county's plan, so that people understand, okay, sorry for your luck, that's not here. You're gonna have to consider another place in the county to put this project. That's all I'm saying.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. We appreciate you being here today, sir. All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion, a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Once again, happy birthday to Gwen.
Yay, me. I'm still here.
That's a good thing.
I know. I'm right behind you, Brent.
You gotta